Oh no, this is no outtakes.
No outtakes?
I don't edit. Sam Ovens didn't edit my interview. He just was like,
he's way more serious.
huh?
He's way more serious.
Yeah. So just natural, dude. All right. Hey guys, Sean Smith here, and today we're doing a customer interview with Aaron Moreno. He's one of my students, been with me for a while now. We've been working together, and so just want to do an interview to talk about his experience working with me and, any type of results he's got. So Aaron, introduce yourself.
So this is Aaron. I've known Sean for about 4 years now. So I own an Amazon advertising agency, and Sean was kind of the one who, I wouldn't say introduced me to Amazon, but introduced me to like the potential of serving Amazon sellers as like a niche. And so once I started doing that, it was just like game over. And I've been with him. I've been working alongside him for about 3 years now. And most of that has been within the Amazon niche. And so he's really a huge, if not the reason why I'm here right now. So, yeah.
So yeah, like what were you doing before? Like what was the issue, right? Like, I've made this impact and it's really helped you. So what was happening before?
So before when I left my full-time job, right? And during that time, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but a few months in, I needed to make money, right? So for fun, I was like doing in-person workshops at like co-working spaces and teaching people how to do the skills that I learned over the years, which was all forms of digital ads. So like Facebook ads, Twitter ads, LinkedIn ads, all that stuff. And it was super fun, but it wasn't paying the bills.
Well, what type of income were you making? On like, what was your monthly recurring revenue, monthly recurring profit on average?
I mean, I was at a loss, for a while.
Yeah.
For a while. It's because I saved up so much money that I could just figure it out.
Gotcha.
Right. So I had like a treasure chest of just, I had about a year's worth of expenses paid.
Yeah.
And so during that time, it was all like at a loss. So
Gotcha.
I would say like how I would make some money, but it would all the expenses would just eat it all up.
What was your average monthly revenue?
So I would have like, let's say in the beginning it was zero, but once I started hosting workshops, it was about like I would maybe get a handful of students.
Yeah.
And that would be about anywhere from $10 to $50 a pop.
Yep.
So I would say around just a couple $100, a few $100.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so like basically what you were doing was you had money saved up and you were kind of like, you were doing workshops, you were just kind of doing ads. You were doing internet advertising, but you're doing like multi-platform. So you would do like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and either teach it or help people with it, right?
Yeah, it was mostly group workshops, and then from there, a lot of them would ask, not a lot, maybe like 10 or 20% would be like, hey, can you teach me one-on-one like consulting?
Gotcha.
So I started doing that. That was helping me a lot, make a little bit more, but still it wasn't very scalable.
Yep.
So from there, I tried doing like webinars.
Yep.
And it was just super difficult to figure it out. I couldn't really crack the code, and it felt like, I don't know, it felt like I was working harder than I should be for the return that I was getting.
So it was kind of like you were in a situation where you felt like maybe you weren't working as smart as you could.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like you were working hard. Like lots of people work hard, right? Like lots of people put in lots of hours, but it's what we do. It's the decisions that we make and the actions that we take within those hours that determine the outcomes in the future.
Yeah.
Because we, as entrepreneurs, we all put in a lot of hours, but within those hours, what are the decisions we make and the actions we take? So before it was kind of like, you're like, man, I'm just working all these hours. I'm not getting like a return. So, and then, okay. So before you were kind of like scattered a little bit, monthly recurring revenue, a few $100 a month or something like that. And then when we started working together, what changed and what helped you boost your business? Like what did I do to help you boost your monthly recurring revenue?
Yeah. So one thing I would note though, is that even though I wasn't making any money, I was having a pretty good time. like I figured it out. Like I figured out the code of like what made me happy, and
Mm.
it was one, it was helping other entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
specifically empowering them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know what makes me happy, but how do I make money doing it? And so that's when you tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I wanted to help you with your Amazon PPC agency,
Yep. So
right?
yeah. So you end up starting working with me. You helped me out with accounts in the beginning, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that was at a time where my agency was looking for an account executive.
Right.
And then, so you started working with me. And then what happened after that? Like what was that process like? And then, how did you start getting your own clients and all that stuff?
Yeah. So I thought, so man, dude, I remember when we started working together, I was so blown away just by like how simple you kind of approached Amazon PPC,
Mm.
and how that simplicity got you so much results,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how you were able to create a system out of that and create and basically make um it just like, I don't want to say like a template system, but like you could apply this system on seemingly endless amounts of accounts,
Yeah.
and it would generate an ROI. And I was so blown away by that because rewind like years back before I left my full-time job, I was working at like digital advertising agencies.
Yep.
And even the last full-time job I had, I was just doing digital ads.
Yeah.
And from all of those different work experiences, I was working on multiple different accounts. Some of those jobs, they would tell me exactly what to do. Like, this is how you run a Facebook ad. Do it like this. Other jobs, it was like, hey, you have the wheel. Just get this result. And throughout all of that, it's always been like I've been trying to figure it out, and I never really came up with like a system.
Yeah.
I was always trying to like reinvent the wheel every single new account. And when I started working with you, I was like, holy crap, this guy figured out a way to make like, I don't know if this is a word, like you could duplicate your results,
Yeah. Yep.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It's like systematizing.
systematizing.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was just so impressed by it. So I was like, oh crap, like this is awesome. And then, Amazon was only growing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just seeing all that, it was like, you opened my eyes to the potential of it. And also the potential of like serving others doing it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like I said, like your system was just so on point that it's just like, well, how many more people can we help?
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that's what kind of changed as soon as we started working together, and I was seeing what you were doing with Amazon PPC.
Yeah. So basically, like, you were at these agencies, it was all over the place, and then you came to help me out with accounts, and you saw how simple I made everything.
Yeah.
I systematized it,
Yeah.
which I mean, I think is a skill set in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
Because systematization allows you to scale with, at least for me, what it's done is it allows me to scale with like less resources.
Yeah.
Which preserves margins and just allows you to do things more effectively, especially when you use technology and you leverage technology, and you have that like in your back pocket.
Yeah.
All right. So you started working with me, and you were like amazed by how systematized everything was. And then, how does that foray into like your entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. So that had me thinking, okay, well, like, what am I doing in my own business to kind of clarify things? So I was helping you out part time.
Yep.
And then my other time, I was still trying to figure out my business. How do I scale it out?
Yep.
And so taking that kind of systems mindset, it really had me thinking of, okay, well, like I'm kind of a jack of all trades right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm having all these different workshops, some webinars, some one-on-one consulting. And within those things, it's like some of them are for Facebook ads, some of them are for Twitter ads, AdWords, YouTube ads, all these different things. I'm not very focused. And because of that, it's like I'm constantly trying to refigure things out, and nothing's really scalable at that point.
Yeah.
So then I started thinking, okay, well, I think that I can maybe find like a medium. Like, how can I make this more systematized, and while still empowering people?
Yep.
So then I started thinking about, okay, well, maybe I should start helping Amazon sellers, because I hear a lot of them need help with like external traffic, like Facebook ads, that whole thing, like product launches, all of that. This is maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. And then so it's like, okay, so I kind of took somewhat of your approach where it's like, all right, let's make everything way more systematized, and let's specifically help Amazon sellers. And that helped my monthly recurring revenue a lot. From there, it was like, okay, now I'm a lot more focused. I could scale things out. I have a system, and I kind of have an idea as to who my exact market is. So that's where he helped me out on that point of my journey.
Okay. So you were doing launches, you're doing Facebook ads, and what got you into the PPC end of it? Because like,
yeah,
you were kind of like doing product launches, which I think is great. Any service is great in the Amazon space, mainly because when everyone, Amazon sellers grow so fast that it allows them to hire people for stuff. So the market is just like, there's like this trickle down effect where everybody can grow. So what made you get into PPC management after doing, external traffic and product launches and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I would say like after all of my launches, well, one, it felt like after a project, it was kind of over. Like after a product launch, it was over. So it's like, how do I keep the clients?
So it's project based?
It was project based.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was after the project, a lot of them were like, can you just keep doing Amazon PPC for me? Because what I did was in my system for product launches, a part of that would also be running Amazon PPC.
Gotcha.
So because of that, it's like, they're all asking for PPC help.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just focus on that.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's when I switched and I just started focusing on that. And that's around the same time where you started having your course.
My PPC AMS Accelerator.
Right.
Yeah. And, I think what's interesting, that was for me too. So the reason I got into PPC management was primarily because when I started, I did like a workshop locally and people hired me like hourly for different things. Like I did listing optimization. I did a lot of things, but just at the time, the reason I made the decision was because it was financially in my favor. Was I liked management for me at the time because it was recurring. And so that really was like drew me in because I didn't have to keep getting clients and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and also I kind of like fell into Amazon too a little bit. When you're a kid, nobody's like, oh, I want to be a PPC manager, right? Like
I was.
Were you really?
I mean, at like 16, 17, I was like, dude, I want to work within digital advertising.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, dude. Because like, I think of like when we're growing up and we're kids and stuff, people want to be doctors and there's very like traditional, but the careers that we have now didn't like, maybe for young kids these days, but when I was growing up, when I was like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, this didn't exist.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like interesting, right? Like I couldn't have even wanted to do it because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting how it worked because I got into it. I kind of, I didn't fall into it. I pursued it, but I basically was taking action and going the way that I felt was best for me. And Amazon space was really good because it was growing so quickly, and it still continues to grow. And so when the platform itself, e-commerce, Amazon, when the platform itself grows, it benefits a lot of people.
Yeah.
So as me as a service provider, benefited me. So you got more into the PPC management, and then you found out about the course, and
you were even like, I'm pretty sure you were even like encouraging me to get into Amazon PPC management.
Yeah, because you expressed to me that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I think I had a decision to make. I could say like, oh, like don't do this because you're my competitor, but I don't really think like that, man. I just focus on myself. I just focus on doing my own stuff. I don't think too much about what other people are doing, primarily because I don't have enough data about them, right? Like I can see that their business grows, but you got to understand that businesses are complex organisms and you might not know everything that happens within it. So when you came to me or we've kind of talked about it and I was like, yeah, PPC management is probably a good move for you. I could have been like, oh, like he's going to be a competitor. But I mean, for me, I don't ever really think too much about that. So yeah, I think that's why I was pretty cool with it,
Especially because like that was when you were starting to create your course.
Yeah, but even then, man, like even if I wasn't creating my course, I wouldn't have cared. I don't really think about that too much, man. Like I just look at my own accounting statements every month, and as long as they're getting me, the business is working towards its goals and we're achieving them, I don't necessarily need to benchmark myself against other people.
Yeah.
I like to use the results from the people that I work with to make decisions and other thought leaders and things like that. But I don't really think like that too much, man. Yeah. But yeah, even if I wasn't doing the course or whatever, I wouldn't have really been like, go for it. You know what I mean? Like, cause I wouldn't want someone to tell me not to go for it. That's how I think of it. You know what I mean? Like if I was trying to be an entrepreneur and I was working with someone else and they were more successful and I was getting like demand for what they do, if they would have said, don't do what I do, I would have to like start over and figure it out. And I wouldn't want that. So why would I tell you to do that? You know, I always think like, if I wouldn't want it to happen to me, then why would I do it to someone else?
Yeah.
And so that was the lens through which I made that decision.
And the market was just growing.
Yeah, man.
And you had a great service too.
Yeah. See,
like,
that's the thing. That's the thing, dude. Like, you know,
you have.
I think that what differentiates you is your product, you know, or service or whatever you want to call it. If your service or your product is good, well, then the market will speak for itself in a way, you know? So that's kind of what I really like focus on is the product itself. Yeah. So then you found out about the program and what happened?
So then it was like, all right, well, I was starting to get into PPC and like, I knew a lot of it because like, I knew a lot of just the sponsored product side because of working with you. Yeah. Right. But then it was like, some clients were asking for sponsored brand ads and all of that was becoming much more common. Complex. And complex. So then it's like, well, your course taught both the sponsored product side as well as the sponsored brand side. Yep. So it's like, all right, well, I could drop, you know, I forgot what the price was of the course at the time. Yeah. And then just learn the whole sponsored brand side, you know? So that was like a no-brainer for me. So as soon as I got that, then I signed a client who was looking for sponsored brand ads.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So then the course paid for itself within, I think, 1.5 months or 2 months.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so from there, it's just, okay, well, how can I scale this model now? Yeah. You know? And so from there, it was like, all right, you taught me the skills to do both sides, sponsored product ads and sponsored brand ads. And then from working with you so closely, it's like, all right, I need to focus on certain things like systematizing and like sales and all those things. So that's where it's like your value came in a lot of different ways that I wouldn't necessarily expect. Yeah. And I think that like, when we started working together, I think originally when you invested in the program, you know, sponsored brands was the primary driver for your service because you can make more money. Yeah. But, you know, I think that we worked on lead generation a little bit and sales. And I think that the one thing that I think kind of is really, I think tough is the sales side of it. Yeah. I think that's hard, man. I think lead gen, it's hard too as well, but I think that's where a lot of like gaps was like sales, lead gen and sales, and you know, and like just client management too. Yeah. All those conversations we had just about like clients, how to deal with them, when to let one go. Yeah. And these are complex questions that have like complex answers. Yeah. Because you have to look at several different data points. You can't just be like, oh, I mean, sometimes you can look at one data point, I guess, but like generally when the things get bigger and bigger, the answers become more complex to the questions. So you're right. Client management, lead gen, sales, how to do all that stuff. And then even like, do you use the forecasting that we teach? Forecasting, yeah. Oh yeah. So we also helped with the sales because we gave you the forecasting as well, which really helped. Actually, a lot of the students that end up investing in the program use that forecasting model on their sales calls and strategy sessions, which really helps them, man. It gives them an edge, you know, helps them differentiate themselves. And I think really like that's what you're looking for in anything. You're trying to increase that conversion rate. Yeah. That's not even talking, like, we're not even talking about like self-optimization too. Yeah. That's a whole nother thing, man. It's a whole nother working out, like the importance of that on your business, like eating, nutrition. Yeah. So I mean, I will say on top of that, outside of business, you know, I think that one of the things you've learned from me is how to eat properly, how to, you know, how much water to drink, like working out, you know, all that stuff that really contributes to your business. And it's so crazy. And your mind. How everything trickles, how everything's connected. Yeah. That's nuts. It is nuts, man. You know, it is nuts, but it's important, man, to like make sure you're getting enough sleep. You got the Aura Ring. Yeah. So I got you into the Aura Ring, training, managing food intake, managing water intake. You know, the most important system is your body. You know, it's like we talk about systems in entrepreneurship, but like, you know, take care of this system. You can build better. You can, you know, I think you don't necessarily need to
be all optimized and stuff on that front, but long term, it's good for your mind and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's good for decision making, making sure your brain has the right amount of like fats, and I mean, it's real. It gets into the details, man. And the the human body's a complex system, and it helps with your mind too. Like your mind is what makes decisions. So like, what would you say the before and after looks like, man? I think the point is to figure out where you were, what was your monthly recurring revenue before working together, and then what's the monthly recurring after working together, so that we can create a number around the results.
Yeah. So before working together, like before even being exposed to you, I would say a couple $100 a month by myself.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But on top of that, not just the money, but like I was very uncertain. I was very timid.
Yeah.
I had thoughts of going back to a full-time job.
Oh yeah. I think like for anyone, for anyone who transitioned from, working for a company, which is fine, but to entrepreneurship and then wanting to go back, I'm sure that's a fear for a lot of people. Yeah.
It's
they might dream
real.
about it. Yeah.
It's almost like when you're dating someone, long-term relationship, and then breaking up with them, it's like, the first month is fine, but then you start like, oh, should I go back? Like, did I make the right decision? All these different things, So that's kind of the mindset that I was at. And I mean, I had a treasure chest of a year to pay my expenses, but if I didn't have that, I may have gone back.
Yep.
But so like that's where I was at mentally and financially. Then after with you, I would say like, so financially, recurring revenue hit 25,000 per month for the business, right?
Yeah.
That was there, and then now it's like, geez, like who I was now compared to then, it's just night and day as far as like the confidence I have in myself and my own abilities. Like even if like Amazon PPC were to go away, it's like, all right, well, I have this certain skill set that I need to survive. Yep. I would never think about going to a full-time job again.
Yeah, I think my mentor taught me this and kind of like ingrained this in me, that like, he's like, his industry, he does something, right? But he says, I don't bet on my industry. I bet on humans always having problems, and all I have to do is provide a solution. So like you said, if Amazon advertising goes away, learning sales is a great skill set, because you're not dependent on your industry, because humans are always going to have problems. They're always going to have them, dude. And so the simple fact that they have a problem is you provide a solution, and then you charge for it. And it's a simple equation. And, since commerce started, business is just a big thing of like problem solving. It's like, I don't have salt and pepper. Well, who can solve that problem for me? Well, the local grocery store. It's like so simple.
Yeah.
And so like these are like grocery shopping is what I would call like a mini problem, where it's like, well, a bunch of mini problems, like I want this, and then, the store has the solution. And so that's how I think of it. Like, humans will always have problems. And as long as I know how to provide solutions and sell those solutions, pretty sure I'll be all right. Yeah. You know what I mean, dude?
Yeah.
It's not super complex, man. And it's a pretty like strong trend, It's not something that is like happens every once in a while. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So anything else to add, man?
I don't know, man. I would just say thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for the journey, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the value, even things that are outside of, our professional scope.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, dude. Well, it is always professional. Anything that's bothering outside of your business is affecting your business.
Yeah. But what's crazy is that like, even like when I joined like your calls, the PPC AMS Accelerator calls.
Yeah.
I'll be on there, and sometimes I just put it on in the background, or I'll hear you on it while you're in the office too.
Yeah.
And I'm just so surprised, like, to see that you're like that. Like, I thought that maybe you were only like that with me because like we're cool and we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
But to see that you're like that with everyone.
Yeah.
Is really awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like, the goal of my program has always been to help people and do it, like solve the problem, not like put the problem in a box, not like, oh, you need help with PPC, blah, 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 but like think about it like what the problem really is.
Right.
Because sometimes the problem isn't in your business. It's like in your mind or it's in your environment. And you have to solve all of these problems. And a lot of the times, like some of the biggest reasons people can't grow, and I'm not talking about financial growth, I'm talking growth in any area, is there's like an external constraint. And that external constraint could be, I don't know, bad situations, you know, and you might not know about it until you, and then what happens is when you solve those problems, everything else tends to work out, man.
Yeah.
And it's like a holistic journey, you know. It's hard to separate the sum of the, like, it's like the sum of the parts is the whole, so you need to take care of the parts. You know what I mean, dude?
Yeah.
Cool, man. This was a really, really awesome interview, and we went a little meta at the end there, which I think is good.
That's good.
It's good. A little meta life, little met life. But, and then, you know, if people want to contact you or reach out to you, how can they do that?
On Facebook, Aaron Michael Moreno,
Cool.
or my email, aaron@emazing.io.
Cool. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the interview, and I hope that, I mean, really my hope is that not only did you learn something, but it helps you make better decisions for yourself. All right, guys. Bye.
See ya. Bye.